a hí an éitimh tríarcu faoin álas a teag RTE faoin scanal Oireachta tá sé soilear go bhfuil RTE ag tuairt an álas dún píosa ar píosa. Ní féidir linn muín a bhí agan ar an álas a hagan ón board feimimreán agus tá feimlí an board a caiithú go háclis an phobal. Tás a go náhfuil an fírinne omlan take chun salas go fáil agus mar sin níall muín agamsa sa board feimimreán an RTE. Taoiseach, it's 3 months on from when RTE's executive board were first alerted of the broadcaster's hidden payments to Ryan Tubridy. Yet here we are still 3 months on and in the dark in relation to what's going on. And rather than having all of the answers, we're facing even more questions than when this scandal started. RTE said that they would be upfront and transparent with the public and that they wouldn't drip feed information. But that's exactly what they're doing. More and more information is emerging day by day. RTE's executives are still giving selective information when it's forced out of them. They are not being upfront about all of the facts. The revelations that we are hearing about are damning. And we now know, Taoiseach, that there wasn't one but 3 barter accounts. And this is despite the fact that the Chief Financial Officer came before committees of the Oireachtas and categorically stated last week that there was only one. Top executives came before the Oireachtas committees last week and they said that they would be upfront and that they would be truthful. But it now seems their answers have shown contempt for the Oireachtas, for the public and for the truth. We cannot trust the information that is coming from the Executive Board. The information they submitted today to the committee says, and let me quote, that the barter accounts are used by RTE solely in the context of its commercial activity selling advertising airtime. But we know that this is categorically untrue. We already know that these accounts were used to make hidden payments to Ryan Tubridy. And public confidence in RTE is on the floor. Trust is in tatters. An insider culture has been exposed at the very heart of RTE, with one rule for ordinary workers and another rule for those at the top. At a time when journalists on low and middle salaries were trying to negotiate fair pay and conditions, at a time when ordinary households were struggling to pay their annual licence fee during a cost of living crisis, the insider culture at the heart of RTE led to this sweetheart deal. And all too often this insider culture is how things in this country work for people at the top. We have seen countless examples of this insider culture over the last 3 years, and it has to stop. RTE needs to build trust again with the public, and it's clear that these executives are not the team to do it. Taoiseach, I do not have confidence on the Executive Board of RTE, and I want to ask you, do you? I understand, Taoiseach, a mechanism was put in place between the Department of the Media, between RTE, for oversight. There were meant to be monthly meetings between the Department of Media, the Department of Public Expenditure and RTE in relation to finance and accounts. Can I ask you, was that structure put in place? Did they have their monthly meetings? Was both ministers kept informed? Was the proper information furnished by RTE to the departments? I've asked you, Taoiseach, on a number of occasions to appoint an auditor to go into RTE in line with the Broadcasting Act. I've said that last week on a number of occasions because I believed we could not trust the information that was coming, and time has shown that to be true. I've said we needed to appoint somebody in to get the full facts, to get to the bottom of it, and I welcome the fact that you've now accepted my suggestion. But can I ask you, when will the auditor be appointed? When will they start the work, and when will the public have that information? As I said, Taoiseach, I do not have confidence in the Executive Board. Can I ask you, do you have confidence in the Executive Board?
Thanks very much, Deputy. Last year in Ireland we marked 100 years as a democratic and independent state. We're now one of the oldest continuous democracies in the world, and our ability to fulfil our destiny as a free and independent country has depended in part on freedom of expression, a free media and a strong public service broadcast sector. Public service broadcasting from RTE and others has been a foundation stone in our development as a democratic state and a free nation, and we know that this is now very badly damaged. Last week's revelations about a barter account used for secret payments has angered the Irish public, has alarmed the government and members of the Oireachtas, and further revelations about additional barter accounts yesterday is another disquieting development. It's essential that public trust in RTE is restored following the revelations of the past few weeks. and the Government has agreed to proposals for a root and branch examination of RTE. We've called repeatedly for RTE's board and executives to provide full transparency, and to date, full transparency has been absent. This must change, and immediately. RTE representatives appearing before the Oireachtas Media Committee today must provide full answers to all questions that are posed. The drip feed of information to committees and to government is doing untold damage. I spoke to Minister Martin last night and again this morning, and she's going to meet with the chairperson and the incoming Director General again in person tomorrow to impress this upon them. Catherine Martin, the Minister, has spoken to the chairperson today and has received an outline of the board's position, particularly around the deeply unsatisfactory nature in which information is being provided. She's been informed that the chairperson is now writing to the Deputy Director General and the incoming Director General outlining this totally unacceptable position that has eroded their trust and confidence in the Executive. So in this context, the Board has requested that swift action be taken, and the chairperson will speak more on this at the Media Committee today. We absolutely understand that the erosion of confidence has done enormous damage, and it's imperative that full clarity around these and all issues is forthcoming without further delay. For this reason, Minister Martin is bringing forward her meeting with the chairperson, the acting DG, to tomorrow, as I mentioned earlier, and we intend to have a forensic accountant in place next week, given the urgencies of this matter, if that is at all possible. The chairperson has also confirmed that they are going to initiate a further investigation led by Grant Thornton of Toy Show the musical. As a deputy, in answer to your questions, the forensic accountant will be in place next week. That's the intention. There's a procurement procedure that has to be followed, but we're confident it can be done next week. I don't know about the monthly meeting structure, but I'll come back to you on that before the end of the day. And to answer your question, I have confidence in the board and the executive board, but I'm also conscious that this is an emerging situation, and I reserve the right to change my position on that based on what happens in the coming days.
Thank you. And maybe, as I address my second question, maybe the former Minister for Deeper might give you a note as to whether the monthly meetings between his department or his former department actually were happening as part of the arrangement between the Department of Media, Deeper and RTE. Taoiseach, you have confidence in the Executive and the Executive Board. They have come in before the Oireachtas committees and they have told lies. They have told us there was only one barter account. Now, either they didn't know that there was three, or it was sheer incompetence. So they either deliberately misled the committee or they simply didn't know. And how can you have a chief financial officer, and how can you have confidence in a chief financial officer who doesn't know the number of accounts that is under his stewardship? I ask you that question because I agree with you completely that we need to build trust in RTE. Public broadcasting is absolutely crucial in this state, and we need to actually build that up. But the question is the executive team that we have, that are drip-feeding information, that are having to come before the Oireachtas committees and correct the information that they have provided in the past, is that the team that is going to lead us forward? So can I ask you, when you say that there will be swift action in relation to from the chairperson, what does that mean? Do you believe that there will be resignations from the executive as a result of the meetings between Catherine Martin and the chairperson of the board?
Thanks, Deputy. I think it's important to point out that there is more than one person on the executive board. And in any democracy, in any decent society, as I'm sure you'd agree, anyone should be afforded due process. And for me now to condemn en masse an entire executive board made up of several different people who would have had several different roles would not only be unfair, it would potentially leave the state open to compensation claims under constructive dismissal. So I have to be conscious of looking after taxpayers' money here, even if some people in RTE did not. So I'm not at liberty to do what you've just done, which is to condemn en masse the executive board and every member of it. That would leave this state open to challenge, and I don't want to put this state in that position. The solution to not looking after taxpayers' money is not for the government to do the same thing. And I'm not going to do the same thing. So I have confidence in the Executive Board, but I reserve my position in relation to that and individual members as things develop and as things arise. What will happen, though, is the new DG, Kevin Backhurst, is going to take up a position quite soon. And I'm sure that he's going to want to reconstitute the Executive Board, or perhaps get rid of it altogether.